I'm Vin, and this is Give It Space. For the next few minutes, we're going to sit with one feeling, idea, social norm, identity, or just whatever might be weighing on us in this moment. Together, we'll explore where it comes from, why it lingers, give it room to breathe without trying to fix anything. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's give it some space. Today's episode is about fear. I actually recorded this once already, but the events of the past few days have caused me to want to make some changes. And it's raining, which feels significant and kind of on brand with the fear theme. But, anyways, while fear is a widely known feeling with many channels of impact, I want to allow us the space to break it down and understand it both within ourselves and as a whole. But remember, this is not therapy, and I am not a professional. Nor am I someone with all the answers. I mean, obviously, this is literally my very first podcast and my first podcast episode ever to exist, so I don't know what I'm doing. Just as a sub note, I will probably be adding some more episodes on the different types of fears later on. So if that's something you might be interested in listening to, stay tuned. I will have that ready. Who knows when, but at some point. Our goal for the end of this episode is simply to have acknowledged the fear in and around us. This isn't another one of those motivational podcasts where they just yell at you to get off your ass and work harder, to be better, or to bottle your emotions. I was listening to one of those the other day, and I won't out the person, or the podcast. I won't say who it is. But anyways, it literally just sounded like this Morgan Freeman type voice yelling at me, and he was like, tomorrow, 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 there's only today. But I was listening to that in my car on the way to work, and I think my volume was like a level 10 or lower, and yet somehow he was still able to jump scare me. I was slightly embarrassed. Hopefully nobody saw me in the car. If you did, no you didn't. But on the other side, this is not a meditation either. Yes, we'll be visualizing, sitting with some shit, taking deep breaths, but I'm not some wise old man with decades of wisdom to pass down like Uncle Iroh. Yeah, I'm not some guru that can like bend his feet over my knees in a crisscross applesauce position either. Plus, I'm a yapper and a chronic avoider of awkward silence, so there is no way I could get through 10 minutes leading you through a meditation. So, anyways, sorry, I get off topic a lot, but before we go any further, I want to start by defining fear. What is it? We're not going to be talking about phobias like arachnophobia, heights, or if you're like me, don't laugh, ladybugs. Yes, it's real. Yes, I'm getting better. No, I'm not making that up. It's a long story. Don't even ask. And we really won't be talking about the kind of fear that stems from potentially dangerous physical situations at all. Danger is mental just as much as it is physical. To get official, and because I'm a little nerdy, as you can probably already tell, Merriam-Webster defines fear as an unpleasant, often strong emotion caused by anticipation or awareness of danger. Also, to be filled with concern or regret over an unwanted situation, or to feel fear in oneself. So that's what fear is, I guess. Fear of change, of the unknown, of failure, of success, or even of yourself. It's fight or flight, sometimes freeze, maybe even all three. And apparently there's a fourth type of fear called fawn, which I didn't know, where you appease or submit to a threat, which is just peachy. You just shut down. And it seems to be caused by literally anything and everything. Like I said, though, we won't be focusing on these types of fear that follow alongside physical threats like natural disasters, phobias, weapons, or physical violence. Instead, we'll be going over fears from the inside, those that we push down because it's easier to ignore than it is to accept. The kinds of fears we create and exacerbate because at this point we just don't know any better. I'm going to get official again and bring out some research because the results were very interesting the first time I read them. Unsurprising, but interesting. According to Chapman University's most recent survey of Americans' fears, our collective number one fear is corrupt government officials. Shocker. And has been for over a decade. The second spot goes to the fear of a loved one becoming seriously ill. The other 8 are just as depressing to even think about, and I took these out of order, so death, World War III. It just said another World War, but World War III is at our front door already. So, anyways, cyber terrorism, pollution, tracking of personal data specifically by the government, or economic/financial collapse. Worldwide, we seem to fear inflation, poverty, inequality, and healthcare the most, which again is unsurprising. Not to bring the mood down or anything, but I fear it's too late for that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was a stupid, stupid joke. I literally just listed everything I worry about on a daily basis. Well, not everything, but we'll get to that. And like I said, none of these are direct physical threats that spark fear. Oftentimes, they're made more intense by interaction. You get a video online of politics, and all of a sudden, you're thinking about how we got here, how any of this could be happening. And then you unravel believing nothing can be done. Like right now, I'm sitting in my bed in the United States of America, fearing ICE agents, the revoking of passports, the increasing threats towards trans people, the misuse of AI, and literally so much more. And I allow myself to spiral. I start going through worst case scenarios. What if we're already in World War III? Do I still need to pay taxes? I don't even make enough money to escape. How is that even possible? How can I just pretend that everything's fine when people are literally dying in horrific ways, which are then recorded and posted for me to watch as soon as I wake up and check my phone? Mental in it. Anyways, just these thoughts of potential threats is enough to spark fear. This story is a little bit on the lighter side, so you're welcome, but for some reason, it was like the 12th or something, which was a Tuesday or a Thursday, something that started with a T. I went into school, and before first period even started, I was in the hallways, and a group of people was just like, "Oh, did you know the rapture was going to happen today?" And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, there were locusts, there were like bugs on the news in like other countries." And I was like, "Okay." So yeah, anyways, that was a constant fear of mine growing up, but it was random and it was always sparked by somebody else. Like I never woke up thinking the rapture was going to happen, and I wasn't even religious enough to fully believe it, but that happened at least like 5 times in a year, and it still happens. My point is that fear can come from anywhere, and it's made worse when we allow it to break down our walls of rational thinking. But biology says there's nothing we can do to prevent it. We're literally born with fear. And somehow, society has managed to make us believe we should live without fear, like it's that easy. Fear is not anxiety, though. You can't just get on Zoloft and call it a day. But how I wish we could. Could you imagine if there was a Zoloft version? Wait, a fear version of Zoloft? Like a pill that you could just take to not be afraid anymore? Honestly, I don't think I would take that pill, though. Because as much as fear is a form of self preservation, you can learn a lot from your fear. I hear a lot that fear is a form of self preservation. So if you're afraid of change, you're actually trying to preserve the safety of now. If you're afraid of failure, then you're trying to preserve your image or your status. And if you're afraid of success, guess what? You're probably trying to preserve the comfort of stability. But why? Why does fear occupy so much space? Why is it something we need to? Oh my God, you're going to hate me. Why is it something we need to face? Why is it one or the other, afraid or unafraid? And why does it matter so much, especially when it's not a life or death situation? Why is it something we're just supposed to overcome? As I'm sure we all know, there's a physical biochemical reaction to fear as well as a psychological emotional response. Biochemical is the fight or flight, and emotional responses often result in stress or anxiety. I find it funny how the biological response to stress probably originated from the Stone Age, like their fear of starvation, the death and sickness of loved ones, of predators and dehydration, of war and battle. So, in that respect, we really haven't evolved much at all, have we? And yet, somehow, with all that being said, we're still just supposed to overcome and deal with it. Why is the immediate assumption always that I need to get over my fear? Especially when there are times I don't even know where it's coming from. I know that when I watch scary movies and get jump scared, I get the chills. It's more from adrenaline than it is from fear. And there are certain fears that never go away no matter how long you go to therapy, or if you go to therapy at all. Some fear is just so habitual, so biological, so human that there is no cure for it. So why is it that we always perceive fear as an obstacle? I know I, for one, feel fear every day. Someone crosses over in my lane on the highway, almost hitting me, I start to shake and I get really cold. I'll get a random chest pain or feel a bump under my skin, and I immediately start to think that my lungs are about to collapse or that I have cancer, like stage 4 cancer, and I'm just going to die at any second. Oh, almost every night before bed, If I lay my head on the pillow just the right way and I can hear my heartbeat, I start to panic over whether it's too slow or too fast, which then causes me anxiety again that I'm dying, which makes the heartbeat go even faster, and then I can't control it and I start spiraling. But that could also just be because I'm on my phone right before I go to bed. But, anyways, we're not going to talk about that. Those are all examples of fear brought on by stress. I feel fear in other ways too, obviously. Like, one of my fears is that as much as I want to be known by the world, get my name out there, help people, and help myself, I'm afraid of how people will perceive me. I know rationally that not everybody will like me, and that's okay for the most part. But I'm afraid that the real version of me will be warped by the negativity others cast onto me. So, yeah, basically, I'm afraid that I'll get canceled for being myself, or that, like, I'm not cool enough or funny enough to make it, that somewhere along the line, people will start to think I'm a fraud. And that causes me to abandon a lot of my passions and pursuits before I even get the chance to really start them. It makes me question every little decision I make, especially when that fear stems from a feeling of helplessness or isolation. That type of fear makes you feel weak and small. For example, we all seem to fear corrupt politicians, and our fear leads us down the path that lets us believe there's nothing we can do about it, that we're in no position to change the narrative. But that's the thing with fear. We feel it and then automatically try to stop it, either by avoiding the fear, pushing it down, or facing it head on, finding solutions to the problems fear conjures. So instead of trying to get over our fear, we're going to spend a few minutes acknowledging it. This is an exercise I like that helps put things into perspective. I haven't done it a lot, but I notice that it connects my mind with the physical moment as well as the reactions to my feelings. So if you want to follow along and do it with me, you can start by getting comfortable. Sit down for a minute, maybe even close your eyes if that feels right. And I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And here comes the fun part. I want you to think of all the things causing fear in your life right now. Maybe you're concerned about having enough money to pay rent. Maybe a loved one is sick. Maybe you're stressed about a big move or a change at work. You could be afraid of the future or of being alone. You could be afraid of failure or public humiliation. Whatever comes into your mind, an image, a memory, a person, I want you to hold on to it. Maybe now you're starting to feel a bit panicky. Maybe your heart is beating a little faster. Your mouth is dry, you could feel hot. Or maybe like me, you're starting to feel cold. As you feel the fear, find its source and understand how it resonates in your body specifically. You're allowing yourself to exist alongside your fear, not trying to control it, not trying to fix it. And as a bit of a nerd, I want you to take that fear and, like the Navi in Avatar, why am I quoting Avatar so much? Avatar The Last Airbender, Avatar the movie, anyways, like the Navi in Avatar, look it in the eye and say, I see you. Acknowledge it, see it, feel it, learn it, be it. I don't know if anybody's ever told you to be your fear before, but there's a first time for everything, so here goes. Be your fear. And maybe fear can even be your friend. Because somewhere along this journey, we've looked so deep into ourselves and we felt the fear so viscerally, and we've watched how it impacts our memories and our moments and our lives. By personifying fear, we're then able to actually look it in the eyes and say, I see you, I feel you, and you are not me. Just because I feel fear, that doesn't mean that I'm allowing my fear to control me. So if I personify my fear right now, maybe instead of just shutting them away and saying, you don't have control over me, maybe even just by putting fear in a position where it can walk alongside you. You're not holding hands, you're not like skipping into eternity with your fear, but just walking alongside you, saying, you exist as a part of me, not as me, and I can coexist with my fear and use it as momentum to fuel myself forward and beyond my fears instead of letting them hold me back and keep me stagnant. So, in a roundabout way, we're befriending our fear. Maybe fear isn't something we have to control or be controlled by. Maybe we can coexist. Or at least in this moment, we are finding the fear, feeling it, and since we're in a safe space right now, we are reminding ourselves that this fear can't hurt us. We are giving it space. Wow, would you look at that? It's like I planned this or something. So we've explored the what and why behind our fears. We've felt them, given them space to exist as we give ourselves the space to know them and see them. I know initially this seems easier said than done, but we're not facing our fears. We're not overcoming them or just suffering through them. We're recognizing the origins of our fears. So pat yourself on the back because that is a huge accomplishment. From here, it's up to you to decide where you want to go with your fears. If you want to shut them back in, release them, coexist with them, feel them, or just continue about your day as if you didn't listen to this podcast and I don't exist, that is completely up to you, and there's no judgment for any of the routes you decide to take. I promise. I know that sounded sarcastic, but I'm okay if you decide to not listen to me. Here, it's all about giving yourself and your fears the space they need to be recognized and the space you need to recognize their impactfulness. Here, we give it space to flow through you rather than hold you hostage. Thank you so much for listening. I'm grateful that you're here and that you stayed with me through this episode. This is Give It Space, your virtual room to slow down, breathe, and just be for a moment. If you want to support this podcast and me, you can get updates and sneak peeks into upcoming episodes on Instagram at Give It Space Pod, which has a link in the bio where you'll find a TikTok and Patreon listed. I'm always happy to hear your feedback or thoughts for future topics, so shoot me an email at giveitspacepod@gmail.com. I'm your host, Vin, and I'll see you next time. And he was like, tomorrow, 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 there is no today. Or wait, no, that's not right. There's only today. There's today, obviously. Sorry. But especially when that fear stems from a feeling of happiness. Whoa. Fear doesn't stem from. Sorry. I don't know who has. Whoa. I don't know if anyone has ever. Whoa. Oh my God. Thank you so much for listening. Whoa, that sounded so sarcastic. Hang on, pause, rewind. Thank you so much for listening. I'm grateful